Hey, we'll see you May 11th in Denver, Colorado. Go to jimmydore.com for a link for tickets. I came across this clip, and it's super interesting. So this guy is Jared Bernstein. He is the chair of the Council of Economic Advisors, and it's the main agency that advises Biden on economic policy. And I wanted to play this for you and get your take.
The U.S. government can't go bankrupt because we can print our own money.
It obviously begs the question, why exactly are we borrowing in a currency that we print ourselves? I'm waiting for someone to stand up and say, why do we borrow our own currency in the first place?
Like you said, they print the dollar. So why does the government even borrow?
Well, again, some of this stuff gets, some of the language that some of the language and concepts are just confusing. I mean, the government definitely prints money. And it definitely lends that money, which is why the government definitely prints money, and then it lends that money by selling bonds. Is that what they do?
Sounds like me.
They sell bonds. Yeah, they sell bonds, right? So they sell bonds, and people buy the bonds and lend them the money. Yeah. So a lot of times, at least to my ear with MMT, the language and the concepts can be kind of unnecessarily confusing, but there is no question that the government prints money, and then it uses that money to I guess I can't really talk. I don't get it. I don't know what they're talking about. Like, because it's like the government clearly prints money. It does it all the time, and it clearly borrows. Otherwise, we wouldn't be having this debt and deficit conversation. So I don't think there's anything confusing there.
What is happening?
The whole thing he's confused about, just as I am. And so if we print our own money, why don't we just print $34 trillion and pay off our debt right now? Why do we have to borrow money from the Fed? Can you explain that to us as an economics professor?
Absolutely, and it wouldn't take very long, although we may not be able to do it today. First of all, Jared Bernstein, is it embarrassing? Absolutely, you're correct. To have a person in that position unable to answer the question is exposing what is normally very carefully hidden. So that's the first thing. The second thing is the woman asking the key question there is a professor of economics that I know real well. Stephanie Kelton is her name. She was the economic advisor to Bernie Sanders. This is a debate among the people who run the monetary system of the United States. It's very important to understand that throughout history, the people who have been kings, queens, emperors, czars, you name it, have often used the fact that they print the money for their society to do whatever they want. So, for example, if the people don't want to have a war, usually the government has to go to the Congress or the Parliament and get a vote saying, okay, we'll raise the money to let you fight a war. Suppose they won't do it. What does the emperor do? Says, well, I print the money, so I'll make a war by paying for it by printing the money. Is there a limit to that? No. The government has the power to print the money. So they may print it, and if they print a lot of it, just to get things done they want, you could flush the economy with money. And you know what you might get if you did that? An inflation, because the money is there being pumped into the economy, and the goods and services that the money will buy are not coming in as fast as the money is, and up go the prices as everybody with money outbids everybody else to get the scarce goods. So over history, we have created institutions that limit the ability of the government just to print the money. And here's what we did in this country. We set up the Federal Reserve, and here's how it works. The government, the president, can't print anything. Only the Federal Reserve can print the money. That's why on your bill it says Federal Reserve note, because they are the ones who do it. And the only way they get to do it is if the government borrows money from the people, issues a bond, a document, an IOU that the government owes the people it borrows from, and then the Federal Reserve has the right to go into the market and buy those bonds from the people who got them by lending to Washington and to the government. And the Federal Reserve has the right to print the money. So again, the money is printed, but not by the government the president and the Congress, but by a separate entity which is controlled by the banks in this country. And so they have the veto power over how much money the government can issue. That's all this is. It's a fight between the government and the biggest banks in the country, who together have to agree on how much money is going to be pumped in, because they don't trust the president or the monarch to make that decision himself. That's all. The details are not important. That's what we have. And that's how the system has worked.
So you're saying like that latest, say, $100 billion we sent to Ukraine. So the Fed had to print that money. Who tells?
Well, first of all, the government has to borrow it.
Where do they
send the money? Send the money to the Ukraine. The government issues bonds, and it goes out into the market globally, and it says, we, the government of the United States, we're borrowing an extra $61 billion because we want to throw it away in Ukraine. Okay, then around the world, people, banks, companies, whoever wants to, lends the money to the government, U.S., and gets that $61 billion worth of bonds. Then, and this is important to understand, often within minutes, they turn around and sell that U.S. government bond to the Federal Reserve. What does the Federal Reserve pay that money for that? By printing it. So the Federal Reserve prints the money, uses it to buy the bonds that the government sold to finance the war in Ukraine, or to finance giving money to Israel, or whatever else they're doing.
And that's how we get the national debt. So
that's right. And that keeps accumulating.
So
the only big mistake Jared Bernstein made was to think it didn't matter, because it does. The more the debt of the United States, the more we have to pay taxes to pay the interest to all those people who have that debt. That's still real. And you and I are going to pay more for a beer, or for a rubber tire, or in our income tax, or every other way, because that debt is an asset for the people who lend to the government, and they want to be paid on it, and they're going to make damn sure that they are. And by the way, right now, as we're talking, the debt of the United States is costing in interest almost as much as the entire defense budget of the United States. Don't tell anyone that this isn't important. It's crucial. And with our interest rates staying high and our government borrowing trillions every year, we are in a situation that within a very few years is going to be unsustainable, and nothing is more damning of our system than what I just said is not being discussed, neither by Trump nor by Biden.
We wish we hadn't lost that $2 trillion. That maybe could have chipped away at it a little bit.
Yeah.
Okay, I know you have to go, so I appreciate your time, and I look forward to talking to you again. Everyone, Professor Richard Wolff, everybody check out his show, Economic Update, Democracy at Work on YouTube. Check out his book, The System of the Sickness. And thanks again. We'll see you soon.
Okay, though. Take care, Jimmy.
Bye-bye.
It sounds like Dumb and Dumber, where they had the IOUs. They got the ransom money, and they're like, we're going to pay every cent back. And they go, no, we got these IOUs. They got orange ski suits.
That was quite a video clip.
It's Wile E. Coyote system.
That's the chief economic advisor to...
Oh, he made chief, did he?
Well,
You'll make chief for this, son.
He is the chair of the Council of Economic Advisors.
What? Bring in my advisors. Advisors, what the hell's happening? Well, it was like a comedy movie. Again, like some guy is disguised as the chairman, and at the last minute got pulled into an interview and has to fake that he's the chairman.
Yeah.
Before getting back to his adventure. We're like, what is the day? He goes, there's no question that we print it, and borrow it. No, I know that was in fact not my question. My question was
my question is why?
No, we know it happens. No, I know. I'm asking you. Why does it happen?
Why? So why? So
what is a woman? Just throw that in.
Well, my next question would be, well, why don't we just change the system? Because it's called the Fed, so it's everybody thinks it's part of the government.
It's private.
So, but it's really a private. He's saying the banks run it. This is what he just said.
That's how they can do that scam.
I always thought it was part of the government, but then people told me it was part of the it was private, and then other people go, no, of course it's part of the government. The president appoints the head of the Fed. And I'm like, well, this seems very tricky. Then why doesn't the president, why do we have to fucking, if the Fed is part of the government, then that question is really even more pertinent. Why are we borrowing money? Why doesn't the government just Jimmy, goddamn print it?
Okay, so I knew it was private from before.
Yeah.
When the goes, no, it's part of the government. You're wrong, asshole. Look at it. Give it a goog. So, but I just didn't realize until now the importance of that until he was explaining it. It's so we can do that scam. It can't be part of the government because why is the government printing money and then borrowing money? Well, it's going through a private. Yeah. It's a public-private partnership.
Yes.
It's fascist. That's how we do it with fascism. So it has to be private on the books. Or of course, the president appoints the guy. Listen, what do you think? The laws matter? No.
Yeah, that's right.
They're why do you think lawyers are all the leaders? They're not practicing lawyers. They studied law to learn little shitty ways to get around the law and rob you of your money and rights. And so that's why it's set up that way. The scheme can't work unless that's a private thing.
So what I would say is, and okay, why don't we switch it back to the government prints the money so we don't have to fucking borrow it, so we don't have to have a deficit to pay back to other people. That's to me.
Hey, here's something fun. That was private, and Al Qaeda is federally funded. Who would have thunk it?
Here's Alan Greenstein, and he.
Can I win his money?
Or Greenspan.
Win Alan Greenstein's money for Jimmy Kimmel.
The United States can pay any debt it has because we can always print money to do that. So there is zero probability of default.
You see that guy's face? Like, what the?
Yeah.
That's the former chairman of the Council of Economic. That's the.
They don't tell them this part?
That he's like, huh?
First I'm hearing of this. It's the first chair of first I'm hearing of how the whole shit works.
Hey, come see us do a live show. We're going to be in Denver, Colorado, May 11th. Los Angeles, California, doing a live panel show with a celebrity panel and video. Ashland, Virginia, Athens, Georgia, Rutherford, New Jersey, with Max Blumenthal, Minneapolis, Minnesota, Ontario, California, Irvine, California, Chicago, Illinois, with another celebrity panel, live video show in Chicago, and Grand Rapids, Michigan. Go to jimmydore.com for a link for tickets. jimmydore.com for a link for tickets.